It's our September meeting. We've got a presentation I'm looking forward to is AI PM tools. I'll introduce them in a moment, but just to kind of whet your appetite, Airtable is here to talk to us about project management tools and the intersection of AI there. So um, some PMC business we need to discuss, again, the presentation, and then just a reminder about the annual conference coming up this October, which means we don't meet as a community in October. So we asked for volunteers to join our steering committee. We had 2 openings and man, did people respond. We ended up getting, I want to say 4, a little scattered in my schedule today, so math escapes me, but I do believe we got 4 new people. So I want to introduce Cindy Greenspun, Amy Flores, Jake Weber, and Yvonne Mejia Brazunz. And I hope I pronounced that last name correctly, Yvonne. We welcome them to our steering committee. We're so glad they're stepping forward. It's always good to get fresh minds and new ideas into the crew. So you can see the various universities that are now represented in the steering committee, everything from large universities down to small private ones. So really excited. Moving forward, we now will just jump right into our presentation. So been talking with Airtable a bit. I will let them introduce what they do, but we've got Matt Logan, Wendy Perk, and Nick Newman from Airtable to talk to us about the AI and PM tool intersection. So I will mute myself, turn off my camera, and give the floor to them.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ed. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, hopefully to some success here, and I'll sort of get us kicked off. I think our goal across Wendy, Nick, and I is to really help you all action on many of the conversations you've already been having related to AI. And so today we'll talk a little bit about how we can conceptualize that and put that into practice. But to give you a quick intro to us, Nick, I'll let you take the stage, pass it to Wendy, and then I'll round us out.
Awesome, thanks. So, hey everybody, good to be here. I'm a solutions consultant here at Airtable, which means I consult on solutions for higher ed clients. Really more of the technical counterpart to Wendy and Matt. Come up with demos, answer a lot of technical questions, but they're both obviously very knowledgeable about the product too. I am a PMP, so this group is near and dear to my heart, and I've got a background in project management and healthcare software. So Wendy, I'll pass it over to you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Wendy Perk. I'm an account executive here at Airtable, working with our education customers, supporting them and exploring how Airtable can make them more efficient across. I've been in ed tech for a very long time throughout my career. Very much looking forward to this presentation today. Matt?
Thanks, Wendy. I am basically Wendy, but worse, but glad to be here as well. Also come from a higher ed nonprofit background. Ultimately, was a Peace Corps volunteer, worked with an ed tech company based out of DC, many of you might be familiar with, called EAB, before joining Airtable to help lead some of the education work that we do here. So that's a little bit about us. Obviously, we know many of you know each other, but it would still be really helpful if you took a moment to introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know where you are tuning in from, and of course, anything that you want to make sure we focus on today. And to that end, I know we've talked a little bit about rules of engagement, but from our sake, please know we don't know everything. You all are experts in this field, and so we want to make sure that you share your own expertise. And to do that, please leverage the chat, ask us questions. We will leave a little bit of time at the end for a formal Q&A, but I have always found it more helpful to sort of ask questions as we go so we can make sure that it's related directly to the topics that we're discussing in the present. So to give you a quick roadmap as to how we plan to spend our time together, we do want to make sure for those who don't know what Airtable is and might conceptually think about Airtable as an air hockey table, we'll give you a little bit of an understanding of what it is that we do and where we're coming to this conversation around the intersection between AI and project management. And then, of course, we want to talk about the why behind this. Why are we having this conversation now? What is the role of AI in higher ed and specific to project management organizations? And why now? before, of course, allowing Nick to come in and talk through how we make this real. What are a couple of our high impact use cases that hopefully get you excited to get started as soon as we hang up today. So that's where we'll plan to go. But again, feel free to ask us questions, raise your hands. We want to make sure that this is a conversation as we dive in. But with that, I'll turn it to Wendy.
All right. So before we get started today, just for those of you not familiar with Airtable, we thought it would be helpful to provide an overview of why we're here today talking about AI and project management and how that's relevant to this group. So Airtable is a modern platform building connected apps that helps teams from universities to global enterprises organize and execute complex projects with flexibility and clarity. And unlike some rigid legacy systems, Airtable combines familiarity of a spreadsheet with the power of a database, layered in with automation and interfaces. And AI makes that a very powerful project management piece. So very quickly, the data layer is where you organize and structure all of your data. At a core, Airtable is a relational database. Universities can track projects, resources, budgets, timelines, dependencies all in one place. And that data is linked across all tables, ensuring consistency, eliminating data silos and duplication of data. And AI at this layer provides like the ability to do natural language querying, smart categorization, automatic enrichment to surface insights from large data sets across project management. Then we have our logic layer, which is where you automate and streamline workflows. Project management offices obviously thrive on process, and Airtable automation can allow teams to define and execute repeatable workflows. So think of like triggering reminders, approvals, status updates based on changes in the data, seamlessly integrated with tools like Slack, Teams, or email. And then AI at this level helps you automate decision support by suggesting things like next steps, identifying risks and blockers in project workflows, and generating project updates. And finally, the interface layer, which is that is like the window into the application. So Airtable offers intuitive, customizable interfaces that allow a different audience, whether you're an executive or a project manager or a team member, to see different information based on what's important to you. So think of like Gantt charts, dashboards, Kanban views that are very easily configurable, and interfaces make project tracking accessible without requiring a lot of technical expertise. And then AI at this layer means transforming all of that raw project data into human readable summaries. So reporting, agendas, dashboards, and all sort of bundled up in one nice package. If you can go to the next slide, that would be great. So Matt and I surveyed some of our universities that we work with, and just sort of like top use cases in education for Airtable. We got 103 responses from leaders, 18 main use cases, and we broke those out into 5 different categories. Operational efficiency was the top one, followed by community engagement and CRM, academic and program management, admin, HR, and other, and then student success and career development. Out of these main categories, we kind of broke it down further by use case. So as you can see here, under the operational efficiency category, general project management is Airtable's top use case across our education customers. So with that, I will pass it over to Matt. Oh, well, actually, you can go back one more. These are some just examples of project management across different applications at universities. So some of these might be very familiar to you. We sort of fit in every potential use case across operational workflows at universities. So with that, I'll pass it over to Matt to dig in a little bit deeper.
Awesome. Thanks, Wendy. obviously wanted to give you some context as to why and how we're coming to this conversation. But with that also, as I mentioned, want to talk about why is this conversation important? And so as we look to your jobs and where you sit, it's no wonder that your job likely feels like it's getting harder day by day. And in a lot of ways, it is. And so we wanted to, again, conceptualize what are some of these high-level forces that are shaping higher education today? None of these are likely new to you, right? And so we don't need to belabor the point. A lot of this is aligned to what we see from the Educause research as well. But top line, we're seeing a massive shift around declining enrollments and the demographic shift writ large, still trending towards these 1.5 million fewer undergraduate students compared to about a decade ago. And with that, of course, then comes into question around financial sustainability alongside the rising costs of our faculty, of our facilities. So we know institutions are operating within these razor-thin margins. All the while, a ton of technology disruption. And so whether you are in the bucket of this major sort of migration from a legacy SIS to the cloud, which I know probably is fitting for a lot of you all, that now introduced with a core expectation that AI will be embedded into your operations within the next 5 years, there is a lot being sort of put onto your technical teams and your technical talent that is causing some challenges around getting everything through the door. All the while, this coming at a time where we're serving students who are truly struggling in and out of the classroom, with 60% reporting moderate to severe mental health struggles, in an era in which we're questioning the degree and the value there in it, as again costs increase. What is the return on our education? What's our return on investment? So this will be kind of our first moment to pause. Are any of these elements or sort of impacts that you feel as though your project management organization can make an impact? I would love to see some fodder in the chat, and if anyone feels brave enough to come off mute, give us some insight into what challenges that we've outlined here that you and your teams feel like you're trying to tackle yourselves. As I mentioned, I was a Peace Corps volunteer. I worked in a classroom in Ethiopia for 2 years, so I'm used to my students providing a little bit of silence. So I'm going to use an age-old teaching tactic. Oh yeah, of course. Level of unknown. Resource management is always a challenge. AI integration into the classroom. These are fantastic. Adam, if you will, I might pick on you as you think about resource management. What does that mean to you as you talk about it meaning different things to different people? Would be curious to understand for you, Adam, what does that mean?
Oh, how dare you? You beckoned me to the chat and then you're making me come off of mute. Yeah, so I think for me, I'm the director of project services for Colorado State University system. I think it runs the absolute gamut, which sometimes in the weeds, it means here's all the stuff I'm working on and how many hours I'm working on it. All the way to the executive viewpoint is to see like how allocated everybody is and to do kind of road mapping and planning and just have like kind of the pretty picture, and all the data paints that picture for you and helps you make the decision. And basically everywhere in between, like the percentage based and how you split up operational work versus project work and everything, kind of that in the middle. So to me, honestly, it means you're trying to serve both ends and everything in the middle. And so it's always super challenging to try to get to that.
Yeah. I think, Adam, one of the things we constantly hear from the customers that we work with is they're really trying to solve that problem of, are we working on the right thing at the right time, and are the right people working on it, right? So it's really about that alignment. And I think, again, in the educational context, it's really hard. You've got strategic plans that have historically sat on the shelf. They've been hard to operationalize. And we're finding a moment in which we really need to kind of cut through what's the strategy versus what we actually do. What do we put in place? What do we say we're going to do? And how do we actually do it? Excellent. Well, again, all in line, I think, with the way in which you all are thinking. And so as we sit here, right, we feel as though project management and effective project management is going to matter more now than it ever has. And you'll see some of the ways in which we have kind of called that out in the alignment, right? 27% of institutions say their initiatives are well coordinated across units. So how do we collaborate and coordinate in a better way? 31% higher success rates in cost-saving initiatives for institutions who have mature project governance frameworks. Probably no surprise there, right? But if we have effective project management, we know it has impacts on our financial bottom line. 27% of higher ed leaders are feeling prepared to effectively implement AI. A lot of strategy talk, but then how do we actually put it into practice? There's actually a new study from MIT that just came out the other week that said only 1% of all organizations globally have effectively moved past a pilot phase for AI. And so again, this is going to be a huge sort of driving force for how do we drive at efficiencies? How do we do the right things at the right time? And then, of course, 67, excuse me, percent of multi-office initiatives, so things like student affairs, academic support, are more likely to succeed when under a unified project framework. And of course, 2 times more likely to report delays or failure to meet requirements on compliance frameworks without a formal project management framework. So again, these are things that are not new to you all. It's just to say, and hopefully to reinforce, validate the work that you all are doing in this era of change and disruption and transformation. Your work is very important. And so with that, we know that you need to be able to do more with less or go farther with fewer. And so we believe that it's now the time to really drive down and lean into AI. And so as you think about that, here are sort of 5 key components that we think AI can make a true difference within the project management framework. So again, as you think about resource allocation, this runs right at that. How can we scale capacity without scaling headcount? Again, if we can automate admin heavy tasks like task assignment, reminders, or timeline tracking, we can focus on more high impact leadership. If we bring clarity to complexity, so how can we leverage AI in order to distill complex structures into digestible summaries, provide a little bit more proactive insight to ensure that nothing slips between the cracks? Let's find our projects at risk. Let's prioritize what matters most, right? Can we take insights from our students, our faculty, our staff, and have a better understanding as to how it aligns with our institutional goals and truly understand what the trade-offs might be, all the while giving better visibility to our leadership or to our students, to our parents, to our donors, whatever it might be. How can we make sure that when folks are asking for updates, that ask for an update isn't taking away from your time? There's a pain into the data that they can go and find. And then, of course, just being a model of innovation from within, right? So if you yourselves are demonstrating how tech can enhance and not replace that human judgment, that's going to help power innovation throughout campus, and sort of you all can be that tip of the spear. Again, I'll pause quickly here. I think, as we said at the beginning, we don't know everything. And so I would love to know if folks feel as though there's anything here that, yes, this is where we are going to take a big bet on AI across our PMO, or if there's something that you say, Matt, Wendy, Nick, thanks, but no thanks. This just is never going to work within my organization, and would love to know why.
So I'll bite, Matt. And this isn't hey, no thanks. It's more of I was reading your rectangles there, and the first one that popped out that caused your action was prioritize what matters most. And so when I'm thinking about how that might work with AI, are we really saying then that an AI tool has the capacity to say, given all these things I know about your organization, this is where you should be prioritizing your work, and these are the projects that should come forward? Because if that's true, cannot tell you how many times IT leadership discussions circle around what's the next best thing, and imagine the time savings that would result in.
Yeah. Well, I hope that what we show you today and where there are opportunities to do this will at least give you some inspiration. I don't know that there's ever a silver bullet to this. And of course, I think at the sort of root of our conversation today, there's always going to be change management, as we say at the bottom, right? Technology is not a replacement for human judgment. So there's still conversations that need to be have, there are discussions, prioritizations that have to happen. But I do think that in, both today as well as especially into the next few years, there's going to be some real ability to take a look at, hey, here are all of our proposed projects. Here's our strategic priorities. And this is what we've decided on from a high level leadership perspective. What of these gets us most closely aligned to these? And how do we then stack rank them? I think that that's very much in play today. Stephanie, I'm gonna sort of treat you the same way I did Adam. I would love to understand what you mean by using AI for task management. What does that look like for you?
So we currently use Airtable actually for our projects, and I used to have a team of 2 project coordinators plus myself who would manage our instructional design projects. We develop professional and career courses in my department, and so the tasks that our instructional designers would need to do in order to start a course from or do a course from start to finish. A lot of that we had been tracking through Airtable, but now because my team members are on other teams that needed support, now each of us is just a team of one supporting different people. So it would be great for me to be able to have a tool to help with doing those task assignments and things like that, just because it was a manual process for me. And I'm, because I'm spread so thin, I don't have the ability to actually like sit down and do all that. So the, team is having to manage their tasks a little bit more themselves. But, I think it would be helpful for them to be able to have more clarity on, on when certain things are due in order to hit those larger milestones.
Yeah, Stephanie, that's great. And I think what Nick will show you in terms of this sort of real impact of how we have implemented this in some cases will hopefully showcase this, and we can always spend some more time there for you as well.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you all for dealing with my teacher antics up here and coming off of mute with me. Well, again, the whole point is to make this real and to hopefully inspire you all to make this a reality within your own PMOs. And so I'm going to let Nick kind of take the stage here to talk about where we feel as though there are 3 tangible AI use cases that we have started to implement with our partners, and to kind of show you how we make this real.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So I'm going to focus on these 3 key use cases for AI and project management. What I found is a lot of users are far more creative than I am when it comes to coming up with these AI use cases. So I would love it, and I think it'd be helpful for everyone if you share your unique or helpful use cases of AI and the messages, and that way you can learn from the others in this group. That would be great. So the first one is, as we all know, projects require a lot of documentation. When I was getting PMP certified, Lord knows, I was shocked at how many documents could be required for a project. And oftentimes they're kind of rote documents that just need a little adjustment. So we'll take a look at how we can spin up project documentation using AI. We'll also look at resource allocation. So Stephanie, I think this speaks a little bit to your task management and how we can automate the resource allocation process. And that really talking there about assigning people to the projects. The third piece would be intelligent updates. So we know that there are a lot of stakeholders that we have to reach out to, and we want to hit them with the right messaging at the right time. And so we'll also look at how AI can help us tailor messages to our stakeholders. I'm going to go ahead and jump in the app right now. Please feel free, like Matt said, stop me if you have any questions. I much prefer a more interactive demo than just me talking to you for 15 minutes. So also, Wendy, Matt, let me know if you see any questions come into the messages. And I'm usually not great about looking at messages in real time when I'm presenting. So feel free to stop me as well if there are messages coming in. All right, so this is Airtable. This is our interface layer. I'll pop into the data layer in a little bit, but really what I want to take us through is the lifecycle of a project. So we've got a new project request form. In this case, I'm not going to take you through filling out a form. We have this mobile app refresh that's come in. We're going to go ahead and approve this project. So it's a refresh of the mobile app for a university, very high priority. We've got 200K budget, already have a project manager in mind and some rationale. So let's approve this project. We continue there, and now we can move on to planning that project. Now, of course, you're going to plan probably in a very thorough way. In this case, I'm assuming that we have a project charter that's already been drafted for this project before it's been approved for us to move forward on. So I'll upload that project charter. The first thing I want to demonstrate here is how we can get documents created in real time. So these are AI agents that have custom prompts to build resource plans the way my organization needs to see them. So if there are certain sections that are needed, if there's a certain tone of voice we want to use, we can instruct our AI to write the document in the appropriate way. We'll take a look at this file. I'll show you this. This is a very simple example, has purpose and objectives, scope, stakeholders, deliverables. So this is well structured, but you can finely tune your prompt to pull out specific things within the project charter. So as you can see, we already have our resource plan. We have our equipment listed out that we need, any materials like design software that needs to be pulled in. And this is all appropriate and specific to the project. In Airtable, you can choose your models that you're using. So if you like ChatGPT, you can choose the OpenAI models. If you prefer Claude, you can choose those as well. Now that can be finely tuned by your IT organization. So if you're only allowed to use one or the other, then Airtable allows that kind of restriction. But you can see just by uploading a simple charter document, we now have a procurement plan, risk management plan, change management plan, and of course it is flexible to include any of the other documents that you want. Additionally, we can check the charter for tasks. So if I click that, now AI is going through and actually looking for all the tasks that are within that charter, and it's going to add all the tasks here. Stephanie, sorry, I'm just going to keep using your name because you were the one that was brave enough to speak out. In this case, we can start spin up those milestones that were listed in the charter. We can make those assignments, and then theoretically, we could also have a tasks view where those folks that were assigned tasks received a Slack message or an email letting them know, with a link to go to their task management page, and they can start to manage those tasks there. So you can see UI. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So sorry, so that did it automatically? It just dropped all of those based on the charter? That's
right.
Yep. Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, so
sorry, I looked away for a second. I was like, wait, where did all this come from? Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And one thing to point out is it's oftentimes it's citing its sources, especially when you have a document like this. So we can view the sources. And I like to check out AI's work because oftentimes it does kind of make up stuff. So I like to see where it's pulled various things, and it highlights what Point 2 was pulled from this part. Point 3 was pulled from this area. So it's citing where it's pulling this information from. Quite frankly, this is kind of a bad example because it's highlighted everything because it's more of a comprehensive document, but I'll show you in a little bit where it looks to just one specific piece. I think on our resource plan in particular, it's just looking at a small part of the document. So it's looking at that overview and some of the required skills.
Nick,
Ed?
there's a question in the chat from Rob. Can you edit the info that is generated from the charter to improve task generation?
Yeah, absolutely. So once it's created, I like to think that AI helps you get 90% of the way there. And there's no replacing the human element right now. So I always like to have a human in the loop especially when it comes to project documents. AI has provided this, but we can make edits here as well. And you can see edited by you. So it can get us started, but you can make edits to that. Similarly with our task view, we can then also go in and add our own tasks if we like. It's not constrained to just, what AI detected from the charter. And Airtable is nice because it gives you multiple views on this data. So you can see here in this case, I think we have weird dates in the charter, but so I'm not going to go back to 2001, but here you would be able to see a Gantt view for this activity. Oh, I guess I will go back to 2001. So just by clicking on these rows, I can get that information. These are entered as milestones because they were milestones within the project charter. So milestones show up like this. Tasks that have start date and end date will show up more as the kind of rectangle you're used to seeing in a Gantt chart. So that is like how AI can help us with document creation. I am going to take a peek behind the scenes so y'all can see how we do this in Airtable and how we scale this.
One more question, Nick.
Yeah.
Can it estimate the effort required or recommended for task duration and dependencies?
It could if given the right amount of information. So if you have a lot of information in your database where all of these activities have already been done, it could train based on that. Or if you have a good description that it can run this analysis on, then that will work as well. I will show you just kind of a quick example if you wanted to do something like that. So here we have tasks. Right now we have prioritization. Let's do, if I wanted to create a new AI field, I can just insert one here, build what we call a field agent. That means we're going to create AI with an AI field here. And the nice thing is I can edit with AI. So I don't have to be a prompt writing expert. This is called like meta prompting, where you use AI to come up with a prompt for you. AI is typically very good at coming up with prompts for itself. So, so provide an estimate for the work using the Fibonacci sequence. So that's all I'm going to give it. Obviously, this is going to be a rough estimate because I'm not plugging in that much stuff. But what I like to show is how it then generates a lot more robust prompt that adheres to all the best practices for prompting. So you're a project manager specializing in estimating work effort using the Fibonacci sequence. And that gives examples of what to output there. And then you can pass in all the information about that task that's going to help us size that. In this case, I don't think I've plugged in any descriptions. I can make that optional. I also don't think I've put in priority. So this is going to be pretty rough because we're basically just giving it a task name. But we can create that field, and now I can run this agent. I can make it manual in that way, or I can also have it run automatically. If you want to enable some internet search, you can do that here too. So if you need to research a company or something like that, like research, a good use case for that is, say you have an event coming up and you have a list of speakers and you need to do some internet research about those speakers to build a bio. You could then enable internet research for that. So super flexible. Any questions about this process of adding an AI agent?
I do have a question. So thank you, Matt, for the response. We do have a paid account here at ASU, but I'm still not seeing how to access the AI capabilities even when I try to add a new field. Is there somewhere else I have to go to set it up?
Stephanie, you're with ASU, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so your security team is reviewing the AI terms and it
Oh,
should be turned on shortly. It was
great.
just stuck in legal. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hello, my name's Teron. Thanks for the information. On the bot, if you will, or the AI agent, is it evergreen and does it do personas? So for example, as you put in there, this charter, like does it learn what type of writing I do or what type of things we do as an institution, and then it can generate suggestions off of that? Or am I always having to start at the same point every time? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. You can give it persona information in the prompt. I believe you can train the response based on say you have a style of writing status updates. And I know Ed said his status updates are particularly good. Uh, so if you have a particular style, then I believe you can train that AI on those status updates. I don't have that in this demo, but you can certainly like choose the persona. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry.
As Nick's having audio issues, I can also jump in here. The AI models won't be trained on any of the data that you input into the system, though you can direct, like it's not gonna, if you have student data in there, right, what have you, right? We're not training the models writ large on your data in here, but as you write that prompt, you can say, hey, refer to my style of writing. Please input and make sure from here on out that this will be the output of that. Nick, I didn't say it as eloquently as you would, but hopefully I got there.
Oh, please. No, that was great. Yeah, a great question too. So, I think the other thing you would ask is if it's evergreen. So I just want to show how this is triggered, like a couple of things you can tweak. Run automatically will cause this to trigger and reevaluate anytime any of the underlying information is updated. So if we update the task, in this case, the description or the priority, this prompt and AI analysis will rerun. You can also have it, this is new, not publicly available yet, but we're working on ways to leverage data within your Google Drive or Microsoft Teams account to do deep research on as well. Not that's something that's coming down the pike, but it's available in my demo account. I just want to call out that's not publicly available yet. I do want to jump back to the interfaces. So now that we've got a plan, we've generated these documents, the next step we want to move on to is project resourcing. So this, I think, is a great example of where we pull out specific roles that we need, skills that we need. I'll click here and now you'll see like, yes, we are just focusing on this one particular area for the skills, responsibilities. And we've labeled those here. That's cool. I've got all that inventory, but I think the really neat thing here is when we go to resource this project, we're able to match people that have the right skills in the right position to what we need for the project. So this is matching different people that have some capacity, that have the right skills, and I can just start building my team here. Airtable allows you to create notifications to those people when they're added to a team as well. So as I add a change lead, we might start sending notifications to those people to let them know they're now on the project. They can come here and see more details. So that's really the second piece, is how AI can help you with resource management or pulling the right people in. If you have all you really need here in this case is like have the skills for each people listed. And I say all you need. I know that can be a pretty big challenge sometimes, but if you have that information in the system, then AI can help you identify the right people, find those that have capacity, and assign those to those folks to the project. Any questions about that piece? Nothing in the chat?
I have a question. This is Lauren. For the utilization, is that based on how many projects they're currently assigned to?
That's flexible. So in this case, it could be self-reported. It could be based on a fixed number, based on the number of projects they're assigned to. And so it's really formula driven. So whatever algorithm you'd like to come up with can drive that formula.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Nick, the other question in the chat, and maybe this will kind of come into your regular flow, is just being able to show kind of communication and collaboration within the platform, whether again that's through comments or through automated communication.
Yeah, that's actually a great segue. So in this example, I've come up with like high level, more executive level reports. So a provost report, they're more concerned about operationally how things are progressing. So we have things summarized at a portfolio level. So think about this as like high level strategy of the university. Um, and what kind of like information can we give to that level of stakeholder that's appropriate for them? So we've got just a bulleted list, very high level, dense details about what's happening throughout this faculty optimization portfolio. If we want to look at digital transformation, that then changes in real time. And you can start to see what the risks are with that portfolio in particular. This is, again, all driven by AI. So they can get a look at the mitigation efforts, things like that. We also have a finance report, which focuses more on the budget, CFO update. So speaks more to like fiscal spending, stuff like that. So those sorts of things are those these dashboards are available. They can be shared to specific individuals that need that access, or you can also share it more publicly. Another thing I should point out is this ability to ask questions of all your data using what we call Omni. So I'll just ask it to give me an executive summary of the top 3 priority projects. So I right now it's thinking through, it's analyzing the data, and it's identifying the right fields to look at to understand which are the top priority projects. It's understanding like where we need to connect the data to look for an executive summary. So, well, those connections already exist, but it's knowing like which connections to go down to get the right status update. So this is a priority 5 out of 5, priority 5 out of 5. And again, it's citing its work. So it's showing us where it's pulling this information from. And you can dig in and see more of those details here. So I can minimize this and start to see more of the like discrete details about that project.
Nick, this might also be a great opportunity to just showcase to Alex's question around being able to comment or sort of create some of that communication directly within the projects as you had that pulled up.
Yeah. So I'll go back there. Here I can add comments. So if I want to, tag, well, this is a demo, so Ari is not listed as a user here, but assuming I'll just use Matt as an example, I can tag Matt in this. Say like, please see the latest status report. Matt's going to receive a notification and a link right here to see the latest update. The final use case for AI I want to share with y'all is just how AI makes it really easy to experiment and create. So we'll go back to our edit view. And Omni works in this context too. So Omni is like our AI builder, and as you just saw, the chat utility. So I could come in here and create automation. So like every week, send a status update. But it's a lot easier to just put it in plain language. So every Monday morning, send an executive status update for the mobile application projects to nick.newman@airtable.com. So now it's going to take that really basic prompt. It's going to figure out how to create that automation, what exactly I want based on sort of natural language, and it creates that automation. I am careful to point out here, this is AI, right? And what we know about AI is it's really confident and helpful and positive, but it can also be wrong sometimes. So to be really powerful, you need to have like a combination of AI to get you 90% of the way there, and also some knowledge about Airtable to know like, okay, why is this not exactly working the way I want it to? In this case, it's done a pretty good job. So every week on Monday at 9 a.m., find the records where the project name contains mobile application and send an email. And you can make that email as broad or narrow as you like. And then you can see a preview here as well. I can run through all the tests. And it's going to provide an executive status update. In this case, I don't think it found records with mobile application. I think it was mobile app in the search string. So, I can make some small edits and get that information in there. Any questions about this? All right. Well, I hope this was useful in terms of seeing where AI can be used in generating documentation, helping assign resources effectively, helping to provide the right level of information at the right altitude, and also how to build these things.
Nick,
I'll pass it back to Matt if you want to wrap us up or open the floor for more questions.
yeah, I was going to say there is one more question around what do folks typically struggle with in implementing Airtable or AI for project management and using it effectively. I don't know if you've got thoughts, or Wendy, you as well, in terms of where you've seen sort of folks take some time to get over the hurdle.
Right now, at this part of our life cycle, the main struggle is just knowing where to put it in. So this kind of functionality where you're using AI at scale is so new that a lot of clients haven't started experimenting with it. So this is kind of why we're here, right? To spread the word that you can run AI at this level. Besides just like knowing how to use it, I think a big challenge is getting those prompts right. That's why we have meta prompting and why we use AI to help us build proper prompts. But those are the two biggest challenges I see, just knowing where and how to use it and then getting the prompts right.
Wendy, do you have thoughts more broadly there as well?
Yeah, I was gonna just mention, I think like one of the struggles is like a lot of universities have like every department uses something different. And PMO offices that I've talked to are trying to kind of streamline that across the university. So if project intakes are coming from different departments, finding something to kind of standardize on and then really implement AI from that point. Um, there have been, as Nick mentioned, just a lot of experimentation with AI. Airtable does include AI credits, so people are able to like really experiment without it having a financial impact at this point to kind of, learn what works best and where they're finding success.
I think there's kind of an intimidation factor when it comes to building too. And so what I've found is when I find myself like procrastinating because I don't know what to do, or like I'll go to Claude or Chat GPT and just describe my problem, and it usually unblocks me. It kind of gives me a path forward, like try this, try that. Airtable is, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean this for this to be so like Airtable focused, but it's what I know. Um, Airtable is really well known by by those LLMs because there's so much information, such a big community that's written content about Airtable through the last like 14 years that like ChatGPT and Claude really know it well. And so using those AI tools to help you build and plan for like how to break through the uncertainty is really helpful.
Awesome. Well, I know we are very rapidly approaching the end of time, and I know Ed's got some closing statements here. So I am going to sort of just drive through the idea that, of course, there's impact to this, right? Whether that's the actual growth that can be achieved through sort of application processing or being able to better leverage AI to look through sort of events and start to do more with less. Um, Wendy, I know you've worked closely with CSU Channel Islands. I don't know if there's some color that you want to add here before we give some folks some resources and get out of here.
Yeah, we're happy to put the links to these case studies, but they're working with the CSU Channel Islands team. They've sort of streamlined this process for their online education to improve like application processing, keeping track of student profiles, understanding like what students are active, passive, just to kind of like keep that enrollment pipeline fresh and up to date. So a lot of efficiencies have been gained by using Airtable and AI in this process at Channel Islands.
Awesome. Well, as you look to get started, there is a entire network of Airtable users in the education context. We have an online community, so would welcome that you join that, draw inspiration from other folks there. If you want to have a conversation with any of us about topics you heard today, feel free to scan that QR code and we'll make sure that we reach out. And if you're just interested in kind of learning more about Airtable in general, there is an online learning academy where you can take some paths. There is an AI specific path and both how to build with AI as well as how to prompt. So a lot of great resources there. And of course, we will be at Educause, hopefully alongside many of you. And so please stop by our booth while you're in Nashville. I think, Wendy, it's probably okay that I share that we're going to have little Legos. So if you're not building an Airtable, you can build with our Legos and we'll be glad to play with you there. Ed,
Awesome.
back to you.
I'm looking forward to swinging by and playing with Legos. So yes, thank you so much. So yes, again, start sharing my screen here just to keep my pace because we need to wrap up pretty quickly. I just want to thank our Airtable friends, Matt, Wendy, and Nick for their presentation. I'm not going to say that we've not had vendors presented because my history of the PMCG doesn't go back that far, but I'm going to say it's been a minute. And again, the purpose behind this is not to pitch product, but just to let the community see what's going on out there in the market around project management, the tools that we use, the practices that we adopt, and gives you a sense for what's coming down the pipeline. So I appreciate Airtable and helping us conduct this experiment here. So thank you for your time, the three of you, definitely.